It's been a little while since we've had a motorcycle airbag to talk about, but we are particularly excited about the new options from Alpinestars. We have the Tech-Air 3 and 5 version 2, and in our opinion, these offer the best motorcycle airbag solution we've seen to date. And I don't say that lightly. In the Tech-Air range, they actually have quite a few different other options that are more track focused, or they have an off-road focused unit. Now we think for the average rider, for most people out there, and certainly for our audience, and definitely for ourselves, the Tech-Air 3 and 5 more closely match our needs. They are lightweight, they are flexible, and extremely safe. Both airbags, in actual fact, meet the airbag level 2 standard. They inflate between 25 and 50 milliseconds, which for reference is about 4 times faster than the human eye can blink. And they offer impact absorption, the equivalent of 18 level 1 back protectors or 9 level 2 back protectors. They are also reusable for multiple deployments if they are serviced correctly. They're Bluetooth enabled, but you can use them without the app. But if you want to use the app, it's got some nifty extra features like GPS tracking and some ride data, as well as obviously being able to update the algorithm in your unit. And perhaps most significantly, the Tech-Air 3 and 5 don't require a subscription, which has always been a frustration of users in the past. Definitely put me off getting one myself, so it's definitely a better model to just be able to buy this unit and have it be yours. You're not beholden to paying a constant subscription. As of the making of this video, the Tech-Air 3 is available for £580 and the Tech-Air 5 is £670. Now, between the 3 and the 5, they're designed for slightly different markets, slightly different users. I'll start with the Tech-Air 3, but I'll explain the Tech-Air 5 in a few moments once I'm finished with this one. But for a quick reference, the Tech-Air 3 is more street focused. It only has one algorithm, that would be the streets algorithm, as opposed to the Tech-Air 5, which has both the streets algorithm and a track ready algorithm as well. The 5 also includes back armor and it has larger coverage, so it covers more of your body, including your ribs and the top of your arms. And it is designed to be worn underneath an outer jacket, whereas the Tech-Air 3 can be worn outside or underneath a jacket if you prefer. I should probably backtrack ever so slightly and give you a bit more context when it comes to airbags in general. So this is something that's been developed by Alpinestars. I believe they quote about 20 years in development. So they've been improving their algorithm, improving their formula, improving their overall product. And it's also something that is used extensively in racing. So if you want to know the merits or whether or not it's useful to have an airbag or necessary whilst you're out on the road, then look at the people who crash the most. MotoGP riders, any other racers using the TTs, that sort of thing, etc. Anyone who knows they're going to hit the dirt at some point will wear an airbag. And because of that, it's the sort of technology that trickles down. It's used by the people who are most vulnerable and crash on a regular basis. And then it is spread out amongst the consumer market. Typically, when it comes to motorcycle armor, this is always the way it's worked in the past. So it really does have a place. It obviously is effective, so it can be a very useful thing to have. And it is now much more accessible thanks to these offerings from Alpinestars. And although we've seen airbags in the past, for me, one of the most prohibitive things was the fact that they used a subscription. And I always begrudged my safety being labeled with some kind of subscription that I had to keep paying in order to have the protection, in essence. And basically they would frame that as you want the latest algorithm, you want the latest updates, you have to pay for them, and it just does feel a bit unfair. So this is a much better model and definitely has been received better from the wider audience. So the Tech-Air 3 that we've got in the studio, we have it in either a sand or a black, and we think this one's going to catch your eye. Most people probably will end up buying the black because it's a safer choice, but either way it looks really good. It is the sort of thing that I love to wear myself anyway. I wear this sort of thing when I'm out and about. I've got things from Roland Sands that look very similar to this, and also it's not that bulky. It is a little bit when it comes to the pack on the back there, or it needs to have the room, and they will make a point of that. It does need to have the room to be able to expand, but you can still wear it relatively snug, and it definitely doesn't look too conspicuous. And then obviously when you pull up at your destination, you can take it out. Now what they'll also say is that whilst you don't need armor across your torso, It is recommended to include armor in your elbows because of course your arms aren't covered with this, so you'll want elbow armor. Shoulder armor, not necessary to a degree because it does come across your collarbone. You can wear it if you want to, of course. But when you take this off, and it does pack down really easily because it hasn't got any stiff armor in it, then of course you can just walk around in your jacket. This is also abrasion resistant, but again, if you're wearing a jacket underneath, your arms won't be, so just make sure you're wearing an abrasion resistant jacket when it covers your arms. And if you do want to, you can wear this underneath other things, or of course, more typically, you can stick it on the outside. It covers your chest, it covers your collarbone and your back, and you fasten it across your chest with a magnet on the inside to keep it in place. So you'll see this red tab, so you'll want to fasten that across your chest and connect it up. And that's not for the safety or for the unit to actually arm, although I'll get onto magnets for that in a second. It is, as I say, to hold the inflator across your chest in the right position, so it sits across there. Now you also have a magnet on the inside there, which when you close it will arm the unit. It also gives haptic feedback, so it'll vibrate to let you know that it's on, but you can see this light here as well, so you can double check using that if you want to. And of course, if you link it with the app, although you don't need to link it with an app, you can check certain details through there as well. What's also great about the app is that you can record ride data like GPS data, which can be a fun thing to play with, but obviously not essential. And of course, you can keep it up to date with the latest firmware or software updates. It charges via a USB-C, which is found at your breast. There is a little pocket which you open up and you can find the connector in there. And it will give you, I believe, so they're saying, up to 40 hours of ride time. This particular unit charges in around 4 hours from a low battery, which will let you know when it reaches that. It will give you another bit of vibration, haptic feedback to let you know if the battery is running low. And if you're caught in a pinch and you don't have time, actually 1 hour of charge will give you roughly around 8 to 10 hours of ride time. What's great about this kind of unit is that you're not linked to the bike, so there are no tethers, there's nothing like that linking you to the motorcycle. It is its own unit, and it uses the accelerometers inside, goes way above my intellect, and the algorithm which they've been perfecting for years and will continue to improve as well. So it actually covers you in street mode. It only has the one mode on this version. I'll get onto that when we talk about the Tech-Air 5, that actually has 2 different versions. But with this one, it is for use on the street, but it protects you even if you're stationary. So if you were rear-ended, you would be covered. In the event of impact crashes, if you're hitting a car or something, then it will also deploy, and it will do that in a low side, high side. It will do it if you lose control. It is very clever about when it will deploy, and that's one of the things I think some people are apprehensive of is, will it just accidentally go off? No, it won't. It is designed not to do that. As I mentioned, it goes off between about 25 and 40 milliseconds, depending on the size of the vest. So you can get this in a variety of different sizes, and if it is a bigger version, obviously the airbag is bigger, so it'll be slightly slower. But when I say slower, 40 milliseconds, 50 milliseconds actually, if it's, I guess, the slowest, is still about 4 times faster than you can blink. The algorithm actually also allows for some light off-roading, and they describe that as gravel, fire trails, I think they're called in America, but light gravel. The sort of thing that most aspirational off-road riders go towards. Obviously, you don't want to go sending it over a jump, but if you did want to go and take this off-road, then you can unzip it and just disconnect that magnet and obviously turn it off, and then turn it back on when you get back on the road. Or they actually do a specific off-road version, which is used in things like the Dakar, if you want to go for that. So if you're that kind of rider, maybe look towards another unit from them. But for most people, if you want to do a bit of off-roading, it is actually also rated to that. There are a few other features to mention, just in terms of practicalities. You have a very easy to use zip on the front there. You have this little pocket here for glasses, so you can stick your glasses in there. I did actually find that quite handy. You have a pocket on this side, pockets around your abdomen with zip closure, and this actually to loop your gloves through, which can be quite useful. And of course, you've got this ribbing on the side of it to allow for more flexibility. And you can actually sew patches onto this if you are so inclined. I personally wouldn't, but you can do that because there are little pockets in here where you're not going to affect the internals. Obviously, you don't want a needle going anywhere near an airbag, but because the outer fabric is actually separate from the internal airbag, you can actually sew on patches if you want to. And then we have the Tech-Air 5, which has a lot of the same features as the Tech-Air 3, but as I mentioned, it has two different settings, so you can either go for street or you can go for race. It has more coverage across it, and for some people, they might want to go for this option. It certainly has been a very popular unit for Alpinestars already. First thing to notice is the fact that it is to be used underneath, which means it's a more breathable fabric. So you would stick this underneath an abrasion-resistant outer. Whatever your choice is, Alpinestars have some, but of course, if you've got a jacket that you like, the guideline really is to allow up to, I think it's 4 centimeters, or a minimum of 4 centimeters in actual fact, around the airbag so that it has room to deploy. And for reference, that's about the size of a golf ball. So if you just imagine having the room to fit a golf ball all around your outer jacket, but of course you do need something abrasion resistant over the top of this. It comes with back armor. In actual fact, on this occasion, it also has 2 canisters. Now that's not so that it deploys any faster. It's not so you get multiple uses out of it before you need it to be serviced. It is simply because the airbag is more extensive. It covers your chest, your ribs, your collarbones, also your arms. You can see these sleeves on the side there, and your back. So it needs more argon gas, hence 2 canisters. The current guideline for either the Tech-Air 3 or the Tech-Air 5 is that they need servicing every 2 years to make sure that they are up to date, to make sure the canisters are all fine and everything works as it should. Now you can find centres across the country. You can physically take it to one, or you can send it off. And I'll drop information if you want about pricing or where to actually get these things serviced if you need to. If you do have a crash and it deploys, then of course at that stage you also need to get the canister changed, and you do need it serviced as well. Just get it checked over that it's still working fine. But you can use it for multiple crashes, and obviously if you're going to use it on the track, then that's probably pretty likely. If you use it on the road, hopefully you never need to use that. But you can use the airbag up to 4 times before they would recommend actually changing the airbag itself. That is part of servicing as well if you need to go to that extent, and you can find that information again in the app. The big difference between the Tech-Air 5 and the Tech-Air 3 is the fact that you can go for a race algorithm if you want to, and I think that's what sets it apart and probably would be the deciding factor in some people feeling that it was necessary to go to either the 5 or just stick with the 3. So if you are going to use this on a track, of course you can use that algorithm, but bear in mind it only activates north of 60 kilometers an hour, I believe I was told, but essentially it doesn't actually activate if you're in the pits, for example, or if you're setting off. It's only once you're up to speed, and you will probably be going through more severe G-forces on the track. So it really does need to be that specific kind of algorithm. Do not be tempted, I know some of you probably will be, to think that you're Valentino Rossi and that you can ride like that on the road and stick it in track mode. They urge against that, and they really made a point of saying that because of the fact it doesn't arm until you're up to speed, meaning you are not protected when you're stationary, and of course you could get rear-ended, so you might need it in those kinds of circumstances. And I know that even as I speak, some of you will probably still stick it in race mode when you're on the road, and if you want to do that, then that is your choice, but you have been told. Airbags have come on leaps and bounds over the last few years, from being something of a bit of a gimmick to something that's incredibly usable and maximizes your safety whilst you're out riding. If you want to check out either of these, then links can be found in the description, and I will see you soon.